Alright guys, Supreme Kami here, and today we are going to be doing the alteration review for the Nightingale here. So before I actually do hop into the alteration tab, I just want to give you guys a brief visual of like what kind of word tags we are presented with as far as the old version or the S attribute. So these are some of the word tags that we are able to kind of access to if we do have the newest one, 7-star, and then you guys should be able, granted, here's the other part, granted you have these one here. So if you do not have it, you will not be able to, let's say, get close combat and etc. Right? So that is definitely something I do want to kind of mention up front right now. So these are some word tags. You have high firepower, close combat, and head part, torso, arms, and etc. So kind of have that image in your head somewhere, so you guys can kind of refer back to, or you can always get back to this portion, and then yeah. Why am I bringing this out? Obviously, you know, this one is the alternate attribute, you get all those link attribute stuff, right? But this one, I would say the value is definitely, if you do have the old version, you have the newest one, not really combine them, but just being able to access the other word tag is really good. So we are going to be starting up the head part, which I think is like, what is going on? You know what I mean? Because like, look at the portrait. You're gonna go straight into the portrait, not gonna talk about the stuff first. Like the word tags, we're talking about commander and then heavy armor. So you think this one is for a what, shooting race build, or this is gonna be a melee based build? But no, they're gonna decide that for you and talk about, oh, let's use this on the alpha to job license, because that is what it's saying right there. So for that condition, once you have that fulfilled, you do get EX skill power boost by 40%. And then secondary portrait, we do have a when your shot defense is over 10,000, you do get an enemy all damage split 50%. So this one is very good for your melee folks out there. But how do you access the other word tags if you have the other one? So this is going to be one of the situation. Obviously the portrait is for melee, but why am I not putting this one into a melee build, or you know, having the melee exec sheet? Well, because you don't summon this headpiece and get the other one. So I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, this one is good for melee because you get close combat and high firepower, but you don't. You don't get that right at the bat. So that's why I wouldn't really recommend it for. That's why I'm not really displaying it. But this one obviously is really good. I think this one does deserve to be a good sub slot. It's just the stat for melee is not really there. Only 7,000 for the melee attack is just not enough, and then defense is not there at all. So this one is kind of bad. If you're talking about, is this a good headpiece for, let's say, a shooting based build? I think it's definitely up there. Having that commander definitely makes things a little bit easier to manage around. And then grant if you do have, let's say, the attribute, so 7-star this one, and then you are going to be able to access high firepower, which is actually pretty good. So but they do want to slap on that heavy armor, so they are kind of promoting that vortex in this overall build, which you guys will be seeing it throughout later in the part. But yeah, this head part, I just kind of rant a little bit about that one. So I'm not really not the biggest fan of the head part right there, so just kind of throwing out there. But that is not to say that it is not a good part for a melee based build, because if you are able to just kind of throw that onto your melee build, you are going to be getting a lot of value out of that. But alright, so moving over to the torso piece. So I think every part now we see today is pretty much going to be geared towards, you know, good armor, good offensive stat, and really poor defensive stats. That is definitely something we have seen from this unit, and then what we have seen from, let's say, the Sasabi, the last version. So this one is more or less like a carbon copy in a sense. Like from the head part, I'm just gonna ignore the head part, but torso, arms, legs, and etc., and even the back part, they do have that similarity of like, oh, they give you really good offensive stats, but the defensive is kind of like, what's going on, right? And then same as armor. So that is more or less like a way for them to just kind of shadow buff or make enemies stronger in a sense, with more HP pool, with more armor pool. So you won't be able to necessarily take down your enemy that fast. That's how they're trying to balance out the game, quote unquote balance, right? I'm portraying this one as a nothing too special. I think we have this one already. Revive plus an EX skill cooldown reduced by 23%. So this one is good. but is it necessarily that important? We have gotten so many torso pieces exactly with this one, unless you guys do want to revive, which is actually quite cool, just for fun, let's say. Something that we have for revive is, let's say, the EXS Gundam. This one does have revive, but this one does also come with the enemy power reduction, so you do have something for that genre per se. I'm pretty sure we have more, like, the cassette, just some reduction 20%, and then buff. So we have gotten quite a lot of variety throughout the game per se. So we have this one again, 23%, but EXQ boosters. So this one is really worth recommending. It's gonna be a personal preference. If you guys do want to revive, definitely go for this one, because you are starting out at a fairly high value already, 50%. So that is really good. So if you do want for longevity, you feel like you will die in a match, this one should quite come in clutch. So Star Wars on this one is going to be as follows. So yeah, just continue trying to just having some pretty good offensive, defensive not really there, but shot attack is going to come in at just barely breaking that 10,000. So it's not too terrible, honestly. So this uplink attribute, and then big skill property, something to kind of add there. Commander definitely gonna make the build overall better. Just having commander on the shooting base part is very important, just because even though there are options, but they're just not a whole lot. So it's having more is better than less. So it's simply the idea right there. But moving over to the arm, I feel like arguably one of the better part out of this set, just because the portrait is going to be a double EXQ damage plus 40%, which that means you can actually use it on both builds. So but granted, initially you are starting out with commander and then heavy armor. So as far as getting some actual real melee war tag, you do have to get the alternate attribute, which means you do have to get it some other means way. Like is either you are going to be using the hardships store, like what is that 300 hardships token, not token, excuse me, that ticket to exchange for it. That's gonna cost you 300, so you can do it that way, or you can just outright buy it for like what I think it's supposed to be about $40. So I'm talking about you gotta buy it now. So definitely not worth your money. So but yeah, this one is definitely really good. We do have some pretty peak stat for both departments, so almost 16,000 raw melee, so that is huge. As for your shot attack, you are looking at 8,000, so that's pretty good. But defensive, sorry, not really there. But the portrait definitely really good. Just double EXQ damage plus 40% is really huge. This one right here is gonna be a squad version of it. So you pop this onto one unit build, and your squad's gonna get it. If you are playing those multi missions, your allies get it. So this one is all around very good. So this one, honestly, arguably one of the best parts from the set. So moving over to the legs, let's see what we have. So continue the trend, you have some pretty good armor, some, ooh, hold up. The offensive side is actually the same, so that's pretty good. Defensive is pretty much going to be nearly the same, but your shot defense is going to be a smidge higher. So as for the vortex, you are looking really nice. Now look at that. Commander and then high firepower. I cannot ask for anything better than this one. So this one is it. 10 out of 10 for the vortex wise. EX skill, we do have the hidden arms. So this one is going to be pretty much the front skirt. It does have two arms, no, one arm from each side. So that's going to pop out and do some, shenanigans with them. So this one is actually just pack some debuffing factors into it. You do lower your enemies melee defense by 14%, and then also lower beam resistance by 29%. So speaking of beam resistance, so this one is going to be practically going to be good if you talk about this week when we have the Reflection, because Reflection multi-mission boss has insane amount of beam resistance. So this one is definitely going to come in clutch once you make contact with any part of the Reflection. So that's going to be good, not bad overall. But is it in practicality, is it that good? Not really. I don't think this EX skill has any iframe. So if you get popped, like, because Reflection, if you go below whatever that part is, fire that shot at you, you're gone. You're not surviving. You're not gonna survive on that. So if this one does not have an iframe, that is you will die. not gonna be good. 3 seconds for the first usage, so that's gonna be good. So you don't really require a whole lot of initial charge boosting, which is gonna be a-okay, very good. So moving over to the back part, let's see what's cooking here. I'm gonna be continuing the trend of just having some pretty, decently armor. I think what we should be seeing nowadays is somewhere pushing it on let's say the 12,000 mark per se. I think that should be the general vicinity of what we will see in the upcoming units, just any. But as far as the armor, excuse me, not the armor, melee attacks and shot attacks, so they are going to be the same again. And then the defensive stats, it's going to be lower for melee defense, but going to be I want to say it's respectable. If you do, like I said again, I did the conversion gear, so we do pop out at 9,000, just barely making that. So it's not the worst. I could be better, but it's not the worst, right? It definitely is seeming okay. Wear wise on this one is gonna be really good, commander, and then high firepower already, so that makes any sub-slotting needed just gonna be a breeze, right? As far as EX skill, obviously going to be SS minus power now because it's new in a way. As far as the effects, you do get some squad recovery by 48% and then shot attack up by 49% to your squad, so that's going to be your pretty much like your basic package. They're not really adding anything else, which is kind of fortunate. I mean, like if they would have tossed in like another good effects, that would definitely make this one better. But I mean, like this one is doing the baseline, right? Keeping that armor and attack up, nothing more you can ask for, right? There's always gonna be more, but this one does the initial job, right? So that's good. Moving over to the beam tomahawk is probably gonna be another interesting part for fun in a way. So in terms of overall stat, this is what we are looking at. So as far as shot attack, this one is actually quite high up the list, so that is definitely good to see. Great vortex as well, commander, and then high firepower. And this one is going to be an axe category, so this one is going to be providing a huge support for that, so that's good. But I would definitely say as far as the axe category, they're just not a whole lot. You do have the Sasabi for this one, so that's gonna be good. Yeah, just look at it from this list, we have not really gotten anything that's related to axe in like quite a long time, so it's good to see. Definitely gonna be good to see. As far as portrait, we do have some pretty nifty one here. So debuff EX skill effects up by 40% when you have high firepower activated, so that is huge. These are going to be really good if you pair this up with delay, for example. This is just a quick demonstration that's for how it actually functions. So that 40%, when you do have it activated, that's going to pop into right here. So that is, instead of 14%, now that is going to be 54%. So instead of this one being a 29%, it's going to be now a 69%. So that's pretty much how the debuffing side works. So as the opposite debuff the skill effects, so that is going to be in conjunction with this one here. So as far as this one is the actual buffer, so instead of just a raw 40%, you'll be getting up to 70%, because the highest one we have gotten so far is no, I think we have gotten 40% already, so let's make that 80%. So that's pretty much how it works. This one is the one that we have. As for the axe, is just the opposite. So this one is actually quite good. So if you do want to debuff your enemy, this one actually is going to be a mandatory in a way, just because it just comes in at a very high value already, so that's good. Secondary portrait, we do have an enemy EX skill damage plus 40%, but honestly, the beam beam tomahawk over here, like the kit itself, is good, but it's not going to be for everyone, because not everyone's going to be out there building the debuffing build. So this one is going to be for those individuals that want to venture out into those specific builds, right? But yeah, this one is not the one that I will be recommending for say, but still has some pretty good portrait overall for those individuals that wants to go for this type of build. So but moving over to the large mega beam rifle, so let's see what kind of stat we are talking about. Not gonna be hot, just gonna be out front with you guys. You guys can see that it's gonna be pretty much oh, it's actually right in the middle. We do have quite a few that is like a little bit I want to say worse, but kind of stat power crept in a way, so kind of unfortunate. But let's see what the portrait does for us here. As far as portrait, we do have an initial charge boosted by 30%, so 30% is probably right now seeing in a single part the highest one we have gotten so far, so that is quite interesting. As far as secondary portrait, you do have an enemy EX scoop damage plus 50%, so that's gonna be good. But what's interesting about this one at base level 1? I'm talking about, portrait level 1. We are starting out at base 20% already, so times out here really has changed, because like back then we starting out at 6%, and then gradually they changed it to 15% with the increasing it to 25%, now 30%. They want to start things out at 20%. Man, this is crazy. So if anyone did pull this one and then you guys do not have like a designated initial charge boosting portrait on a specific one part slot, this one is going to be the one for you. So this one is good, starting out at 20%. So if you do like a few investment, maybe portrait 2 or even portrait 3, you should be able to get up to maybe 21, 22, 23%. So as far as your custom EX scoop, those that require a longer first time usage, that is going to be, once you have this one up to like 25%, you instantly can use it right off the bat. So it's good. So definitely love the fact that they are, making the requirement as for the base level 1 easier to activate, or just having a higher percentage. So that's good. That's love to see that for sure. Last but not least, we have the shield. Shield part, we do have a pretty good spread in a sense, pretty good armor obviously. It's gonna be right up here, so not too bad. This one is gonna be an EX scope base, unfortunately. This one is gonna be the micro missile. So this one is good. Even back then when we had, let's say, the I don't know if this one is specifically the same as the one from the Sasabi, but I'm pretty sure it is. But this one is good. People love using this one, so not bad overall. Great tags, commander, and then high fire power, and stat wise it's not too shabby, but could be better. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it as for the Nightingale. I think there's definitely gonna be some iffy parts out here and there, like the head part is just kind of like, what is going on? Like, why are they doing that? But other than that, we do have some pretty solid one, like the arm parts, the beam back. So the beam tomahawk is definitely gonna be for those individual that tries to make a debuffing build. It's actually the one you'll be needing. The large mega beam rifle, yeah, that one is really good because they are starting out that 20% initial charge boosting at base level 1, so that is going to be really huge and stuff. But yeah, overall build, you guys can see that all the other stat does kind of lean towards you can kind of use this in bulk build because it does kind of offer that option as well. But the other side is the fact that they did toss in commander and then heavy armor in some of those parts, so it's not really going to be melee friendly in a sense, because in terms of, let's say, subslotting, you probably won't really match anything as far as melee aspect that has heavy armor or even commander slap on. So that could be unfortunate, but as we do move kind of from the leg on, like leg part, back parts, they do give you the option of, let's say, high fire power, so that definitely does make it easier as far as subslotting for into a melee build if you do want to. But overall, it's pretty good for the Nightingale. So do let me know how many of you guys actually have summoned for it. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much it, and then I'll be catching you on the next one.